So I wanted to share just a little bit of my story. When I was 30 years old, I had a good bout of anxiety. And I know that's something at that point, 20 years ago, you didn't hear a lot about, and more and more you hear about it now. And for me, it was something that manifested itself in like travel. If I was on a bus ride with my team to a game or flying on an airplane somewhere, even it was starting to be a problem when I was getting in front of my classroom, teaching math and being in the classroom. And I started to realize, it wasn't something that came immediately. It was just slowly over time. I started to realize it was a little harder to do those things, a little bit harder to get on a boat to go to Catalina. And after a while, I would say a couple of years, all of a sudden I couldn't get on that airplane, or I worried about it for a month prior to traveling. I struggled to get in front of the classroom. And so this is then that I realized, okay, something is wrong. And I sought help immediately with a therapist that was a client of my wife's. She was just a wonderful woman who dealt with that sort of thing. And so it started with just talking and going through it. And then there was some biofeedback and kind of retraining my brain how to calm down and relax through those moments where I wasn't in control. And very quickly I realized this is a control thing. I like to be in control of what I can do. I like to have an escape plan. I like to be able to be in charge and decide where I go and when I go there. So it was areas where I didn't have that ability, where it was difficult. So, this is obviously, if you're someone who knows me, I'm more than willing to share my experience with this with anybody. I can't go into real detail in a short video, but I just want to share kind of how I got through. So obviously with 6 months of therapy and working to retrain my brain and teach myself to calm down, I was able to get through it. And it's now something that I don't really deal with at all, or at least I don't realize it. I've just trained my body to handle it. So for any of you who are experiencing anything like that, I just want to give you hope that you can get through it. The other thing, I had a couple techniques that weren't physical things, but just places my brain could go when I was in that struggle place. And one, it's kind of an interesting picture because I know it's not true or real, but it kind of worked for me. And it was this picture of God sitting on his throne in these big flowing velvety robes that spilled down onto the floor. And if I was on an airplane and starting to feel a little bit panicked, I would, in my head, just curl up in those robes at God's feet and just feel comfort and warmth, and almost just picture myself in a fetal position at God's feet. And it was, certainly I'm not in control. There's nothing I can do. I'm going to get to as comfortable a place as I can. And I just had that vision of God and just being curled up at his feet and I guess in some way being cared for. He was big, I was small. He was, up on high and I was down low. It was soft, it was warm, all good things. The other thing was the verses Philippians 4, 6, and 7. I think there was a video recently that talked about the same verse, but what a great mantra to repeat to yourself as you're in those times where you're struggling with being anxious. And it's, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And certainly during moments of anxiety, you're trying to picture, all you want is peace, and all you want is a moment of just, stillness. And that idea of the peace which surpasses all understanding was so appealing. That was my goal. That's where I wanted to get. And so with this video, it's really just about, for someone who's struggling with this, it's about giving you hope that you can get through it. There are ways to do it. For someone who hasn't struggled with it, I hope you can see a little bit, it's real, and it's important for all of us to have empathy and to come alongside people and help and be a safe place that if somebody expresses that, they can come to you, and you're not going to fix it, but you can just give a hug or an out. If it's someone, hey, if you need to get out, you can come sit in my office for a minute and we can chat and I can distract you or whatever. But anyway, and certainly, feel free to come talk to me if you're someone who knows me and you're struggling with that and you want to talk to somebody who's kind of been through it. I'm an open door. But I just encourage you, feel hope. And if you don't experience this, be empathetic and support someone near you.